It's nice knowing you. All right. Think we're live? Question.
Hello.
Great.
All right. Fantastic. Difficulties inherent to all streaming platforms, I suppose, and especially Discord today. But we are here, and we are so happy to be presenting the second session. Yes, the second official session of Shattered Forge. Yes, it's a lovely time here. I wonder how many times I can say lovely. Anywho, greetings and welcome to Nerdsmith, the lovely platform that I've been a part of for so long. My name is Jason Catrone. I'll be your DM today. You can find me at Just Jason. Please, we'll forego with the plugs and whatnot. Just get straight into the action since we're running out of time. Today, we do have a full cast, simply having a little bit more technical difficulty behind the scenes, but very soon we'll be able to introduce and onboard Lynn Meyer of Unearthed Arcana fame, Twitter handle, hopefully somewhere in chat right now. But to attend to those who are already here, we must, of course, pay homage. Autumn! Hello, how are you doing? So good to see you. Where can we find you? Just real quick.
Hello, my name is Autumn Blaze, or as I'm also known in the internetverse, Lasalanta Nariel, and you can find me on Twitter as Lasalanta Nariel.
Awesome. And who will you be playing today?
I'll be playing Amaris Ebonwood,
Amaris,
a gnome ranger.
A gnome ranger. Ooh, very nice. All right, moving right on down the screen as I see it on my screen. I don't know if it's for y'all, but for me, I see Michael. Hello, so good to see you, Dead Aussie Gamer. Go ahead and tell the people where we can find you and very quickly who you are playing today.
G'day guys, my name's Michael, otherwise known as the Dead Aussie Gamer. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and pretty much everything as the Dead Aussie Gamer. Today I will be playing Calder Abner Anvil Forge, which is a sort of a Scottishy kind of wizardy character who has a lot of stuff on his plate now, which is happening. All of it's happening.
Yep.
Anvilgard. Sorry, Anvilgard is my last name. I know that now.
Oh, yeah. No. You knew that all along. You just didn't remember it at the moment.
That one.
That's the
that
thing.
One.
Exactly.
That one.
Yes. And we definitely didn't send a reminder in chat. Not at all. The private chat that nobody can see. Eric, before we get too off topic, go ahead and introduce yourself, where we can find you, and who you're going to be playing today.
My name is Eric. You can find me on Twitter at EricPetersonVO, and I will be playing Veridal, the Dark Elf Cleric. And this should be fun as we jump in and decide what we're doing here.
It will indeed. So before we can welcome Lynn back to stream, she actually has to get here. So we shall take a deep breath, be cleansed of all of that negative energy, and come to our final introduction for the moment. Janet, so good to see you. How are you doing? Also, where can we find you? And also, who you're playing?
Greetings and salutations. I am Janet from World Anvil. You can find me at World Anvil on Twitter, or my own personal handle is JD_Blythe. If you like world building videos, you can find me on YouTube /World Anvil. And anywhere where fine world building is purveyed, there you shall find me. And I am playing Winry Anne Anvilgard, who is the sister of Calder. As you can tell, we look like twins. And she is a cleric of the Forge. So I'm really looking forward to that. Oh yeah.
Ooh yeah. Awesome. So happy to have you. So happy to be here. Before we continue our proceedings too far, do have to say, of course, that we are actually celebrating. This whole campaign is basically a huge huge celebration of the World Anvil community. Yes, indeed. This is a stream sponsored by World Anvil itself, the most robust campaign management software on the market, and more generally just creative management software on the market. If you're writing a book, running a campaign, and you just need some place to get all the character names, all the character places that are sort of inhabiting your world, you can literally go to worldanvil.com and find just the best, or some of the best, world support that anybody could ask for. Constantly coming out with new and exciting features to support creativity and world building. Light up the forge with World Anvil by going to worldanvil.com. Excuse me. And also make sure, if you've got the time, it's free to try, but you're going to want to give it some support because holy hell, honestly, Janet and Demetrius do some fantabulous work. So for about the cost of a good packet of pens a month, you can actually support and get access to even more features that will continue to assist you in your quest to create worlds. Yeah, that's a thing that people do.
Yeah, create world
Sometimes.
settings. It's what we do.
Exactly. So, in addition to that, we are also sponsored by Die Hard Dice. Yes, purveyor of the finest polyhedrals in the multiverse. Come out with new sets all the time. Each one is as incredible as the last. You can actually win, certain sets at certain times, but I will sort of leave that to production to tell me whether or not we've got something lined up for today. Shh. You can actually purchase for yourself a lovely, lovely, pristine polyhedrals over at dieharddice.com. Roll with the best and forget the rest. Well, yeah, pretty much. They're just a wonderful company that we are so thankful for. Also, we must give thanks to Will Crosswhite for composing the intro to this particular campaign. The theme will be dynamic. It will change with the worlds. That was the theme for Tairos. We'll get into it. But you can actually find him at Crosswhite Music over on Twitter. Chuck him a follow. He does some fantastic work. He also did, I believe, the theme for another event that Nerdsmith is currently running. But we've no time. We must go into it. This, the second of our sessions. All right. When last we left off, the world city of Hestevar, home to worshippers of Pelor, Ayun, and most pertinently, Erathis, had experienced a little bit of a kerfuffle. A mild bit of light quaking, followed by blinding light that lasted for 9 minutes, approximately. And indeed, it suffered a calamity, or an outburst of calamity, the likes of which has not been recorded properly, at least at press moment. Each of you bore witness to what was assumed to be around 207 separate events of the shattering of the world anvil. The vehicle by which Erathis' will is exerted upon the universe to craft civilization, to guide it in all its forms. Panic ensued. Sheer bloody panic. And whilst you assembled yourselves as best you could, the torrent of the crowd has whisked you in front of the will of Erathis. Analogous to a speaker of sorts, a representative. They are, as I described in the previous session, without form or particular face, though it is humanoid. They are akin to a changeling in that sense, and perhaps at some point within their service to Erathis, they were such a creature. All that remains now is an avatar for the world anvil's will. And, of course, its master. Its provider, its practitioner, Erathis. The will stands before you. All assembled are nervous faces. Indeed, Verinar, you see Rexalius sort of attending to his wounds as best he can. The Dragonborn's form slumped over only slightly to accommodate for Belladonna, his wife, who attends similar as she did to Hamish not long ago. Formless and with grave intonation, as above you a glass fresco dome becomes alight with another shard that traipses past the sky. Cloaked in robes both ancient and elaborate, the will begins a bit of a sit-rep. Wardens, seekers, forgers and keepers, Anvil Guard, here assembled, stand resolute. A dark hour befalls us all. The crowd hushes, but Rexalius, ever a temperamental sort, grunts as his beloved attends to him. Act quickly, Will, and deliver the task. The time for formality has long since passed. 215 distinct events now. A seeker mutters next to you, Amaris, drenched in sweat and grit. A murmur rises amidst the crowd, but is silenced with a raised hand from the will. Panic will do us no favor, friends, for there is much work to be done. From their faceless portrait drifts a menagerie of silver orbs. They fall upon the crowd and Anvil Guard as one, and your orders are disseminated. A name falls upon your mind and your lips. Keeper Consortia, Lore Master of Tairos. The crowd jolts to life as portals are prepared for the more veteran among you. But still, the will speaks to those who are lost in amazement and confusion. All pretense has been cast aside, Anvil Guard. In my capacity as voice to the fire of civilization, one of Erathis' many titles, I bestow upon you all the title and responsibility of Seekers. You will not forsake your original duty, but we ask that you do what must be done. Confer with the Keepers. Go out into the worlds that have been assigned to you. Mark the shards for retrieval by the Wardens, who are to be roused. And return as soon as possible. The forge is shattered. A whisper comes to your ear, Verinar, from slightly behind you. It's like it's not even fazed them. Steel yourselves what precious moments are left to prepare, they continue. You have been given your task. Go forth and perform it. Adherence to me. We work apart from this to attend to. And with that, they descend down a staircase behind the altar from whence they stood. The crowd undulates and crashes against itself as the flow of personage breaks towards the Keeper's quarters, the repository of knowledge within the headquarters. Kaldor, Winry, you are the first to recognize at least the final order. I need you to roll a history check.
Thirty.
22.
13 or 30?
13.
13, okay. Winry, it was a long day at the Forge. Adherence, you know that your father is one, but you don't really know the specifics outside of that. Calder? The Adherents are... They are basically the top dogs of each particular sector and section within the organization of the Anvil Guard. Your father, for instance, is the adherent of the Forgers, the ones who maintain the World Anvil when it comes to, ensuring that Calamity is sort of contained and whatnot, and sort of intelligently directed towards Arathis' will, in addition to equipping those who seek them out, and the Wardens. The adherents, however, also lie outside of that. The one that you attended to, you now remember, Rexalius. He is actually the adherent of the Chosen. Basically, the ones assigned to the actual protection to the entrance of Arathis' pocket dimension, the place where Arathis truly resides. With some trepidation, Rexalius straightens himself as best he can, but buckles slightly, his shoulders drooping. He turns to you, Verinar, and blinks a few times, as he saw an orb actually descend upon you. You've only been a keeper for, well, let's say enough time to only be maybe considered a novice, and I need you to roll an insight check.
$23.
23. It's not that Rexalius was a sort of hard father. Like, he wasn't an ass. He was not absent, or he was not dismissive of you. But you note, even amidst this sort of haze of confusion and haze of trepidation, a sort of sense of, my son's about to go out and be a seeker? There's what could be charitably described as fatherly concern that springs forth from him, but he does not say anything, and instead elects to just sort of use Hamish as a bit of a crutch and straighten himself out even further. Suppose we have to go, old friend. Hamish, still reeling from the bruises on his back due to fighting against the calamity that descended upon Hestevar, rolls his shoulders and nods. I hope you're not many people to come along with. And he turns down to Belladonna, who looks up. I have a feeling that maybe Ayun would want to know what's going on. Just a slight inkling. Belladonna, with healing magics, begins to twist raw magics within her grasp and rocket them, basically, into Hamish's back. It's sort of like when a chiropractor finds that one spot that has been problematic and then immediately just almost punches it, but sets it where it needs to be set. Damn the consequences. Hamish is thankful, but all at once uncomfortable, suddenly. Amaris, you sit amidst the crowd. Your orders apparent. You are to visit the Keeper, the lore master of Tairos. Tairos. Make a history check.
That's a 6.
That's not good. Not gonna lie. Tairos. There are so many worlds to keep track of. Seekers usually have this handy little psychological practice of going into a world, absorbing only as much information as needs be, and then regurgitating it, and then leaving as soon as possible. It allows for a little bit more fluidity. Tairos is not Tairos is not a world that you have heard of. And so there is a bit of concern that might raise from you. a couple of your fellow seekers so denoted because of their uniforms relatively similar to yours, kind of look to you and nod very somberly. You get the sense that a couple of them understand where you might have been coming from. They might have been aware of your situation, as it were.
She sort of nods back, doesn't comment on it.
Calder, Winry, Verinar as well. You note that Rexalius, Belladonna, Calder, and a few other forms whose names you cannot recall because the GM has yet to actually give them names. But the other adherents seem to follow the will and descend behind the altar.
So the orb came to me, right? I got one.
Yeah, the orb came to you, settled sort of in front of your forehead, and basically gave you specific orders to meet with Keeper Consortia, Lore Master of Tairos.
Before they disappear behind the altar or whatever it is, I rush after Belladonna and I say, Mother, what does this mean? I've been chosen. Where do I go? What's this? I don't understand.
Still yourself. Still yourself, damn it. You do no favors with your panic. Go ahead and make a will check for me. Just a check.
14.
With these words, Belladonna basically allows your mind to settle for a moment, and indeed you feel almost... It's strange. It's as if something is tugging at the back of your head, and yet your hair has not moved, and as you turn to face it, it swings around to the front. You're supposed to go in that direction. And indeed, you see a crowd that is just literally almost clamoring on top of each other, but okay, yeah, no, it's Black Friday, Black Friday crowd just going through this place.
I trust you.
Good that you do. And trust Ioun as well.
Of course.
Or Arathis. Or Pelor. Trust any god that seeks a remedy to this situation. You kind of see her cough into her hand, and you note a bead of sweat that drifts down her temple.
Well, let's give it a go. Good luck.
Let go. And she smiles very softly. Rexalius again, saying nothing.
I just sort of give him a sheepish nod and quickly about face and walk off, kind of just looking at other people, making sure I'm going where I need to go because I don't really know what I'm doing.
Let's say that's let's just say that's a perception check, as Winry and Kaldor, your father is just sort of grave face stomping forward and going to the altar.
Winry leads over to Kaldor, punches him in the arm and goes, Kaldor! Kaldor!
What?
Kaldor!
What?
We made Seeker! We made Seeker!
Yeah, we made Seeker. Yeah, that's right. We made Seeker. We're going to be the first ones into this.
But we made Seeker!
You know what? It'd be nice if we were Seeker a month ago when the world wasn't ending.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if the sky hadn't had to literally be torn asunder for us to get promoted. But do you know what? I'm taking it. I'm happy. I'm not the destruction bad. We do not like the disruption. But do you know what? I'm taking it. What is this Tairos anyway?
Events. I repeat, 227 events. You hear another seeker sort of giving an update to the situation.
Better get a move on then, I guess. Where are we
Oh,
going
buggered
then? Where
my
do we
aunt.
find this keeper consortia?
Will checks
Keeper
or
consort.
wisdom checks from the both of you.
Wisdom. 21.
17.
Aha! You
I am wiser than you. Ha!
well, you have both been familiar to this. This is usually how orders are communicated to at least some. Kaldor, you're most familiar with this because the keepers usually use this to make sure that they keep track of each other or a certain tome. Anywho, you get the sense that, yes, you need to head into this direction to see Keeper Consortia, who's the Lord Master of Tairos. And I will say that full name probably like 7 more times throughout the session.
All right,
All right.
balls in the air. Here we go.
Let's do it. I guess.
Dexterity checks, or not dexterity, perception checks for the both of you. Varinar, what did you get?
I got a 12. Do I see these two? Do I see Winry and Calder?
They're pretty unmistakable. You know who they are. Like,
Yeah, I saw them outside and they seemed
Calder,
kinda
Winry. Yeah. You don't notice Varinar.
We're very engaged in our own conversation and the flying balls.
Yeah, it really is that sense of like you watch two people having a very like interesting conversation that has nothing to do with you. They actually indeed walk past you at a certain point, just
I'm
because
still punching Calder in the arm.
Yeah,
I choose the two of them to be the ones that I will basically follow until someone tells me not to follow them. So I will just be like about 15 feet back, just like watching them, following them around. And I don't know if they notice that, but yeah, I'm just following them because I figure they know.
All right. Well, wisdom checks, just real quick for Amaris.
Okay, wisdom check or perception?
Wisdom check first to make sure that
Okay.
the sphere communicated
19.
perfectly well. You have felt this sensation as a seeker before. Basically, whenever a mission is given, it is usually through one of these orbs that settles in front of you and then communicates to you the exact keeper that you're supposed to be meeting. Then you meet with the actual realm walkers and whatnot who construct the portal by which you can actually jump through, etc., etc., etc. You again, the name of Keeper Consortia is on your mind, and yeah, you need to get going in the right direction. So, perception check real quick.
$25.
Old hand at this, you know the Keeper's quarters almost inside and out, and as you sort of walk along, it's strange. It's not their voice, but as you depart from the group of seekers, one of them says, "Go get him." And that intonation just sort of stays with you for a moment, but nevertheless, you go forward.
A slight pause in her step, and then, nope.
The audience sees a sort of, a scimitar-wielding man who sort of nods and like chortles to himself as he goes and about his business, apparently given another keeper. The first to arrive, well, that would require dexterity checks from everybody just real quick. So, go ahead and tell me.
Check or a saving throw?
Just a check.
17.
22.
Wow, okay. And that's a 13 from Winry, I believe.
Winry and what a 13.
Fantastic.
Calder.
I got a 3.
Falling
Okay.
over your own feet again, you idiot.
Yeah, no, there is a sort of point as you are navigating this kind of space. It is hard to really understate, or excuse me, hard to overstate how much of a shit show this is. As again, you continue along with the flow and undulation of the crowd, you hear another seeker, this time a sort of elven female hanging from the rafters by a grappling hook. 252! A sort of panic arises at that number particularly, which kind of, it's bad and getting worse, which that doesn't feel good. But as you crash against each other, Verinar, you are uniquely adept at dodging falling books and sort of clumsy scholars. So as you pirouette your way through and go into the keeper's quarters themselves, you are greeted with a sort of resplendently kept place. It would be very much orderly and in array had 252 shards not launched themselves into the multiverse. And so there are several groups that are just congregated around these these poor keepers who are trying to keep up with all the tomes and whatnot. Like, they're trying to look up Dewey Decimal shit, and you've got like 7 voices trying to like hawk at you, trying to understand what the hell is going on, what they're going to be facing, how they're going to be facing it, etc. And you note amidst their number a sort of heavily tattooed kind of portly, I would say, portly woman who's kind of collected a few tomes already in preparation for the onslaught, and is currently kind of traipsing her fingers across many a old bound volume. Most of them seem to be well attended to and well kept for, but as you note, they are apparently engrossing, and she pays no mind to you, although there is a direct, like a shoestring, like between your view and her person.
Well, is this? I'm sorry. Is this the keeper I'm supposed to talk to, or did I make my way to the front of the line?
By all accounts, it seems like the keeper you're supposed to be talking to. You don't know particularly. You've never seen Keeper Consortia, but there is a direct link to this person.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I just kind of like point. It's a lovely volume. It's first edition. I'm sorry. I'm Verinar. I suppose I'm supposed to talk to you.
As you look up, these beady eyes sharpen to a knife's point, as this was intense study that you are now kind of interrupting. They soften, and she kind of, oh, wonderful. Name?
Verinar.
Confirmed. Marvelous. I assume from your current dress you are a keeper like myself, or at least equivalent. Those colors. Ayun?
Well, yes. I am still in my. I'm not fit for battle, so I just kind of got swept away. I'm still in like my student robes. I don't have anything.
Oh, marvelous. I suppose it is all hands on deck. Estevar is important to all three, I suppose. You kind of see her. She's searching for something, but she's not able to articulate exactly what it is or engage in conversation. And with a... with that, she does indeed seem to find something that is particularly interesting and say, marvelous. Do you know how many are actually... Oh, wait a minute. No. She stops. 5. 5 should be on arrival. All right, marvelous. It's 1 of 5. Almost there. She just kind of settles into this particularly engrossing paragraph. And not ignores you, but like, yeah.
1 of 5? What am I? Excuse me? What? One what?
Amaris, as you yell this out, Amaris, you appear next to Verinar and look up. You know the situation very well. Basically, you have to wait until everybody has confirmed their identity and is present before it can be decided that your group is fit for duty and ready to be absconded to the multiverse. So, an old hand at this, you appear next to Verinar and from the crowd just sort of look up at this, shall we say, somewhat flustered dark elf.
Make that 2 of 5. Amaris Ebonwood. They're not going to say anything until the rest of the 5 show up, believe me.
Ah, you know what you're doing here, I see. Good.
I take it that makes one of us.
Oh, yes. Yes, I usually stay inside of this sort of thing. But it appears I've been chosen by the people upstairs.
Well, congratulations on that. And your name?
I'm Verona. Very nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Amaris, it's very... Yeah, no, it really is that sense of like, oh boy, we've got a greenhorn here. And especially one who is unfamiliar with Arathis, as indeed the student robes betray a stricter adherence to Ayun. Indeed with with the symbol of that particular deity stitched upon the back. Winry, Kaldor, got some bad news for you. The crowd was a little bit unruly for y'all, not gonna lie. Being a little bit more on the, shall we say, beefy side.
We prefer robust.
Robust, yes, full
Definitely.
figure.
Yes, indeed.
Winry, you were able to sort of forge through as best you can, and stop. You sort of pause yourself from punching your brother in the arm, and Calder,
Almost never the face, you know. It's mainly the arm.
almost Calder.
Yeah.
As we're traveling, Calder's sort of being nudged and bumped and bruised from like all different angles. At some point or another on the way, he just kind of hits that point and snaps. Reaching behind him, he pulls out this iron weapon of some kind and shouts immediately, "Next person to bump me shoulder, I'm gonna paint this entire place a new shade of idiot!"
Make an intimidation check. As Winry, you now look behind at your screaming brother, who is actually like a good 30 feet behind you. Didn't even notice.
17.
A good little pool kind of forms around you as indeed another report comes in. 284 in the distance.
I point the pipe thingy up at him and says, "I know, we all know, be useful."
You see this Triton who's kind of like as you're like hanging Spider-Man like from the ceiling. As soon as you like wave around your weapon, immediately just sort of disappear behind an archway, conveniently placed.
Hey, new shade of idiot. Come on, stop, put your toys away. Come on, we got work to do.
I'm coming.
Calder, immediately as you try to move against the crowd, you try to close the distance between Winry and yourself, and whoo boy, it's just not letting up. Yeah. It's you rolled a 3. I'm sorry.
I'm coming.
Winry, you do see in the distance 2 figures, a gnome sort of smartly dressed seeker, and just a very confused looking dark elf, along with this heavily tattooed, basically kind of like, middle-aged human woman who's, again, just traipsing her fingers across this tome.
Wow, I thought libraries were supposed to be, quiet, organized.
Immediately you see...
Come on, you ugly bastard! Why are you taking so long?
Amaris, Verinar, you both hear this booming proclamation as Calder, you finally catch up with Winry at the entrance to the Keeper's Quarters. Actually, you note that your your friend Consortia looks up. Yep, that's 4. That's 3 and 4. This kind of muttering to herself as the work continues.
Winry slaps Kaldor on the back while he's trying to catch his breath in a very unhelpful way. And strides towards the party saying, "Hello, I'm Winry. So, what are we going to do and when are we going to do it? Please tell me the answer is now."
I just point towards the important lady that's supposed to be telling us what to do.
Do I recognize this important lady?
Make a history check.
Wow, she's old. Jesus.
Well,
She old, huh?
now hang on.
16.
First
I
of
found
all,
ancient writings about this person.
first of all,
Yes, she
rude.
looks
Second of all,
roughly pyramid shaped and
so with Amaris, Amaris, just as a point of character reference, how shall we say flamboyant were you in your duties as Seeker? Were you one to sort of proclaim very loudly where you were going, when you were going, or were you more, shall we say, a reserved character?
More reserved, I would say.
Yeah, somebody who just gets the job done that needs to be done. Winry, you have heard very little about the Seekers. There's not exactly, a particular roster that you have been made aware of. Especially in your capacity as a forger, you sort of receive the orders from a few people and then kind of build what needs to be built or otherwise make sure that things are flowing smoothly. And then moving on to the next job. This is a very fluid organization that each of you has joined, to say the least. And oh boy, as such, you recognize the name Amaris once it's said, but nothing specific comes to mind, like no great deed or anything like that.
it's a lovely name. It's a kind of flower, right?
Sure, we'll go with that.
All right, and you are?
Oh, this is Verinar. Remember, we met him on the stairs.
Oh,
yes, hello.
that's right. Must have taken something to me, Ed.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
And,
no,
uh,
we call it your brain.
Are we in this
I would
lot
have said-
together then?
Probably that crowd back there.
Oh, don't get me started. Yeah, I see you.
you see this very innocent-looking Vidalkin kind of like, what the fuck, man? And you note actually that this is a friend of yours, like, piss off, like going over and sort of trying as best they can to sort of like keep things under control. Because as you make a perception check, please.
That is a 11. 11.
All right, so an 11, a 13. Amaris?
Well, Danville is rolling me a lot of 13s today. I'm not entirely sure why.
Verinar with the 23.
Like a 7.
Ooh.
Like a 7. Okay. Alrighty. So, as you kind of look around, you note that the shards have still been kind of passing over. Each of these sort of portions has a brilliant sort of glass enclosure at the top, usually so that you can enjoy the golden skies of Hestevar and their splendor. Now it's basically a horror show, as indeed a few other shards lodge themselves out into the great unknown, as indeed sort of lingering portals leave traces. It's not lightening up, which is indeed confirmed by the shout of 306 that emanates from the hallway that's just off from the keeper's quarters. It's a bad scene, but without much of a without much of a hitch. Consortia kind of says, all right, and that's 5 out of 5. Looks up to each of you, smiling. There are only 4 amidst you.
What?
You might want to have another look. There's 4 of us.
Nope, there are 5.
Ah, right. Yeah, sure, definitely.
Look, I'm not going to argue. I mean, the world's ended. Why not? We're 5. Sure. Why not a 6?
Do you know what? If we're
Oh.
5, that means we can go. So we're sure 5. Yeah, absolutely, definitely 5. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's 2
No, it
people.
is 5. It is 5, don't worry. And she sort of looks within the crowd very knowingly. And indeed, as you sort of look behind, nothing but a crowd. Just can't. Verinar, however, with a 23, you sort of like still your eyes for just a little moment, and you note a hooded figure within earshot, but definitely apart from your group just for a moment, deep in thought and yet present within the moment.
I just sort of lean in towards the keeper, and I'm like, "Is it that one over there? Is it her? She's the one." Sorry, I'm speaking away from the microphone. It's that one over there, right? It's her, the scary one in the cloak.
The scary is subjective, my friend. There are much more terrifying things that await you.
Oh, this is all very terrifying,
kind
I
of-
assure you.
She kind of like taps your shoulder and like, oh, honey, and then immediately scoops up all the tomes that she has assembled and shouts in a very abnormally loud voice. You get the sense that she's using some sort of magic as the tattoos around her neck alight. All right, out of the way! A table is cleared and the tomes are set out. The tattoos around her hands, which seem to be sort of taking on a spiral pattern, begin to alight as she basically produces a hologram. I really can't say it any other way. She basically shifts it from a regular table to a holographic table that when she puts these sort of tomes and whatnot on, there are runes which surround them, and as these sort of tattoos light up, so too do the runes, and basically she pulls up a web page concerning this particular world that you have been assigned, the world of Tairos.
Best librarian ever,
Yeah,
says Winry.
yeah, no, that works.
That's
It's
very impressive. Would you mind discussing how you did that?
He pokes the light projection.
it shifts and sort of like reacts to you actually as you sort of like
Calder
see-
smacks her hand.
you know,
Stop that.
Hey!
the UI is very intuitive. Indeed, it's sort of like shaped like a book and whatnot that you can scroll through. And if you sort of like maybe a little bit, you can you can like turn a little bit of the page, and it's very interesting. Verinar, you are ignored as Consortia begins. Right, Tairos. Must say that's been the world that I've been assigned to for at least the past 12 years. Extremely knowledgeable of it. If you have any questions concerning the specifics of it, we will have to requisition some manasite. That shouldn't be much of an issue. And indeed, she, with a mage hand, produces a scroll that was buried beneath the tome and begins to fill it out. Winry and Kaldor, you both recognize this as a requisition order for the forgers. Who are basically like, again, the equipment folks.
Yep. Usually
but-
means making pointy things.
But she can continue sort of muttering to
Underappreciated.
herself. Yeah, underappreciated. She sort of clicks her tongue a little bit and breathes in very sharply. Well, dependent upon the location within Tairos that this shard has lodged itself, haven't been able to confirm. Well, she kind of murmurs. Haven't been able to confirm exactly the properties of the portal that it created, but I'm sure the Realm Walker will have more information. Are there any questions before we proceed?
No.
Let's do this. Come on, let's go.
Anything you could
Uh,
tell us about the area would be nice.
I see that there is a seeker amongst you. And you note, Consortia kind of turns to you and smiles. And it takes her a moment, but she blinks away from the intense focus that she had. Oh, Horace, it's such a pleasure to see you again. I must look terrible in comparison to what I was 15 years ago.
You look just fine, as always.
I had heard that there were... all hands on deck, of course. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Well, no time like the present.
Indeed. I'm sure
As-
we'll be fine.
As a general statement, I suppose, Tairos is, shall we say, a land of depleted magics? That is to say, it is a place of want and necessity, especially when it comes to the raw flow of mana. I believe this is a common term, and she actually kind of flips through the webpage, and on it is displayed a sort of like emerald kind of construct crystal. It's kind of strange, but only for a brief moment, as indeed it is exchanged for a history thing. Oh, mana sight. I must say that some worlds are so delightfully intuitive. But yes, as it stands, we will have to secure for your persons. That is, if you use magic, and she sort of takes a cursory glance, which I assume at least 3 of you uses.
Indeed.
Yes, okay, fine, perfectly well. Don't know
Do
if there are
clerics
any.
count?
Unfortunately, clerics count as well. No matter. It can be accounted for. I'll have to requisition. That number seems right. 3 days worth. That's a typical mission. Given the sensitive nature of this, it might be well within your the time-sensitive nature of this. It might be well within parameters to request that you act quickly, but it's merely my personal opinion. She continues to read through Tairos and sort of expects questioning of a sort to arise from each of you.
I'm awkwardly and very nervously kind of looking at all of my other group mates.
Calder's sort of staring at the page as it sort of flicks through. He's also kind of taking cursory glances. Over here, the whole mana site thing is it by chance any considered contraband in this place?
Oh, absolutely not. It's actually very much integral to the operation of science and technology within the world of Tairos. It's not native, of course. The methods to create it are a closely guarded secret, however, which I suppose would indicate that we might have a limited supply. That would be... Oh, no. That would be... You kind of like see her pause. I'll have to requisition all the same. It's perfectly fine. At any rate, it's basically a crystalline element that draws energy from the ley lines of Tairos and locks it into a material form. It creates a stable battery for spellcasters, arcane blacksmiths, and she turns to Winry, obviously recognizing that you are a forger, to draw upon magic, much in the same way that we harness calamity.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Winry's nodding along like she understands.
Indeed. There are some artificial concerns, but I can most likely be assured that we will have enough mana sight of the pure variety on hand, circumventing a few of the artificial replacements that have come.
You guys gonna get us cubic zirconium?
Pretty much. Winry, as you raise your hand, she kind of locks eyes with you.
So we can do magic, and that's great, and I'm good, is all I can say. But what's going to kill us? That's always got to be my question. What's going to kill us?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, of course, mortal danger is of eminent possibility. However, until we confer with the Realm Walker, we cannot be certain what exactly you might be facing.
Big beasts,
Tairos, however,
small beasts, spectral beasts, dangerous sandwiches, just something in the ballpark would be great.
Tairos is a varied world, although it is... She kind of pauses for a moment. Tairos was a world of plenty once. It is unfortunately no longer. Much of the elements within that particular world have been depleted, to put it quite bluntly. There are a diverse set of biomes by which Tairos is defined, but, and she kind of pauses, trying to search through the document to see if there are any particular places that she might know whether or not, or she might hypothesize as to whether or not the shard might have been attracted to. Okay. I don't
Dangerous sandwiches.
I don't believe it would have buried itself within the Scorch. No, probably not the Stormlands either. The Balmordan Plains? There are several ruins. Mount
While
Eternal as
she's while
Again,
she's
sort of
considering the Tyros, I turn to Amaris. Amaris, was it?
Yes,
You're the Seeker, yeah?
that's me.
Well, have you been to this place before?
No, I'm not familiar with this one.
Right. Well, I mean,
We'll have to get more information.
well, it seems like you know this whole Seeker business well and truly ahead above everyone else. Is there anything else you think we might need to be aware of? Anything you think, I don't know, might give us an edge? I mean, anything to avoid us getting killed on this thing.
If there are any customs that are particularly different that might affect the appearances of any of us, should we have to disguise ourselves? We are supposed to blend in. They can't know why we're there. So, major world events we need to look out for, that sort of thing.
So we're to blend in, are we?
And if there are any major conflicts in the area, we don't want involved.
Malhedun! And she immediately sort
That's
of
you.
locks eyes with... No, yeah. She kind of grumbles to herself. Malhedun comes up as a name, and indeed, as you look to the holographic projection, there are these... Immediately apparent is a sort of cavernous space. Fungal undergrowth encroaches upon what seems to be almost like a sphere of water suspended in midair. Two great pillars of earth and rock kind of jutting into the like tight covered ceiling. Yeah, I think that's how it is. But yes, Malhedun, which unfortunately nobody's... Well, actually, go ahead and tell me, and anybody who rolls, or excuse me, anybody who speaks Elvish, go ahead and tell me right now.
Me.
Okay, Verinar. Anybody else? Okay, Verinar. I want you to roll, let's say, general intelligence check.
16.
16. Okay. Ayun has been known to dabble in the field of linguistics, and certainly there have been certain patterns amidst some worlds that have been easily identified. Linguistic markers that betray some sort of meaning that is apparent within all worlds. It's a nice little consistency that happens. If you speak Elvish on one world, you can maybe sort of dialectically understand Elvish on another. At least that's the theory, the prevailing theory. If the interpretation of Malhidun that you have is correct, then that means you're going to a place that in the common tongue roughly equates to something that is named the despair that has never seen the sun.
I'm sorry, you said Malhidun? Could you repeat that?
Yes, Malhidun.
Oh, wonderful. I suppose we're going on vacation then. Do you all know what that means?
Blank stares.
Do you?
Oh yes, it's going to be a very great place. Judging by this. And you said we see like a holographic image and it's like underground and stuff?
Oh yeah, it's definitely an Underdark scenario.
I point at it and I say, that is not a nice place. We're going there. We're going there, right there, to this place.
Hypothetically, we don't know. We haven't spoken with the Realm Walker. I'm only making an educated guess based upon the presence of magic, its relative draw to calamity.
Well, of
All right,
course,
all
when
right.
you name places like that... this
Look,
just
if
is.
the
That's
will
all I'm
wanted
saying.
to send us to the realm of bubblegum, it would have done so. But it's decided to send us here instead, alright? No point in griping about it unless you want to go back to the Forge and look it square in the ephemeral humanoid form and say we don't want to go. But that's a long walk, and these people are bastards. And it'll take you half an hour just to get down the horror.
You know, look at yourself! You hear a dwarf sort of respond to you as you say, these people are bastards.
Don't make me come back there, Dolan. I swear I will hammer you down.
You see a warhammer like clutched, and immediately you note a couple of humans that kind of drag the dwarf away.
So we can't know until the Realm Walker gets here. Where is he? Or she? Or them? Or they? Or it? Let's go! Let's go already! Come on! What are we faffing about here for?
It's called reconnaissance, but yes, I agree. Let's
Generally a good idea.
One of the tattoos from the woman's chest actually kind of comes off of her skin in sort of a how can I explain it? You know Okami, like that video game series, sort of in a paintbrush fashion, emerges from her chest this sparrow that actually takes the message and carries it off.
Ooh, that's a cool trick.
Requisition has just been sent. I suppose I should probably, given all possibilities, explain to you a little bit about the bitter depths. That's... she kind of sighs. It's fortunate in the sense that you won't be encountering many civilizations. Potentially. Hopefully. There is indeed a city that does reside there. Shah Hidun, which she kind of like... It does belong to a group commonly referred to as the Traitors Below, but I'm sure that they wouldn't venture too deep into the bitter depths. And given the fact that this is such a terrible event, you see another large shard kind of streak across the top. It actually kind of rumbles the glass dome as another voice shouts, 347!
Don't know what his nibs is doing up there, but you might want to stop.
Yeah.
Diane! I grab my holy
We're
symbol.
working on it.
Like, just just maybe stop doing that for a bit? Maybe just, humbly stop breaking stuff?
Ah,
Calm your bloody farm.
At most, you would be likely dealing with environmental hazards, sheer cliff faces and whatnot. Oh, I should have.
Powder socks, that kind of thing. Yeah. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what? She kind of like stops herself. Luckily, I had the foresight to include with my message requisitions for climbing gear and the like. Basically, a sort of Dungeoneer's pack by which you might utilize tools and whatnot to descend and otherwise be secure in your descent.
Excellent. Thank you. Is there anything of particular note that you think we should look out for in the area?
Well, there are several simple cave-dwelling organisms and examples of fungal life. And she sort of waves, and you note, that the page shifts and indeed opens up to another place where there are these sort of enormous examples of like bioluminescent mushrooms that are 6 foot tall, 8 feet wide, and like other sort of again like bugs that sort of crawl around these things. And you see indeed a little pool that actually has like blind fish within its waters. It's a representation, but it's only sort of like it's only sort of like an animatic, if that makes sense. It's not like fully rendered. The internet real shitty in this place at the moment. Got a lot of simultaneous users trying to draw up a lot of information. But she does kind of hesitate. Given that the shard might be producing some indeterminate amount of raw calamity, it might be reasonably assumed that perhaps these organisms might be altered in some fashion. However, given the depleted nature of Tairos, I would certainly think that at the very least they would be contained within a general area that would extend no farther than she kind of again does a little bit of a hard thinking. 120 feet, if that.
So angry mushrooms, but only in 120 feet.
Potentially. The flora and fauna of that particular region are, as a baseline, very much more concerned with survival and the like.
I'm no afraid of no breakfast side, all right? Let's get on with it.
Of course. The requisition should be filled by the time that we actually arrive at the forges. So, immediately she scoops up the tomes again. The runes fade, and again, the throat tattoos alight. Make way! As she... as the crowd kind of parts and she hobbles along. It is at this point that you note, actually, that one of her legs just is fucking missing. She's got a prosthesis of some sort that she uses to navigate. It's filigreed and sort of fantastically woven, but as she continues along, the pace is measured and well regarded, giving each of you a moment to speak with each other.
Great, we're going to be eaten by bugs and mushrooms.
Not just mushrooms, angry mushrooms.
Yes, well, they are trying to eat us, so I would imagine angry.
Well, we'll be angry right back.
Good attitude.
This is your job, Amaris. This is what you do. You just
Pretty
go
much.
out and try not to die in the various worlds of the multiverse.
Well, there's a bit more to it than trying not to die. We have another purpose there to collect the shard, but essentially, yes.
So,
Congratulations on the promotion.
Oh yes. Thank you.
sorry, I've always had a question about that. When you get the shard, do you just put it in a bag? Is there like a winching mechanism? I mean, don't get me wrong, but in my mind, they're quite big. Like my pockets, they're quite small. So I don't really know how this works.
Amara
My dad's
sounds
always
like
been really secretive about it. Like he just won't tell me, you know. So yeah.
Amaris, I need you to roll a history check with advantage, because yeah.
You know things.
She seeks and she knows things.
That's a 15.
15. Okay, well, here's the thing about the Seekers. And just to point out, Seekers and Wardens are the only ones that are sort of given active duty or active leeway to go into the multiverse. It's, it's the Seeker's job to confirm the presence of a Shard of the World Anvil and to mark its location. It is up to the Keepers to actually go through the process of retrieving and whatnot. Winry and Kaldor, you know that your mother is a Warden. Again, one who is given sort of leeway to leave Hestevar on behalf of Erathis to collect these shards. Amaris, the general way in which these shards are marked is via triangulation. So basically, there are these runic poles that you insert in the ground around the shard in sort of a equidistant 3-point pattern. This basically contains the influence of calamity. Though you do think, especially with this, you're wondering if they have to be running on Manasite or something like that. It's kind of, that thought kind of crosses your mind and quickly fades. But in traditional fashion, the rods are shoved into the ground. A containment field is established, which alerts the Realm Walkers immediately. You are absconded from the scene, and the Wardens go in to actually undertake the process of basically rendering useless this particular shard. It's very, very complicated, and usually people don't try to mix the two disciplines because they are so voluminous in terms of knowledge. There have only been, well, maybe a handful, but that's more like mythic figures. Like maybe the adherents at one point might have been these sort of people capable of doing it. And you know the perils when Seekers try to do a Warden's work. The question still stands, though, and you describe the process to Winry and Kaldor. Winry, Kaldor, Varinar as well. This is really the first time it's kind of laid out to each of you. So, Amaris, explain away, if you so desire.
Essentially that. Seekers are not typically there when they're removed. We are to mark them. And she will give a very basic explanation of that. How they're marked.
Yep. Triangular equidistant pattern around the shard, no matter the size.
Did you mean by Siki Maki Maki? I'm sorry.
Alright, so basic rule, don't touch the bloody thing, alright, Winry?
Right, don't. That would be a very, very bad idea.
Aye. Winry, look me in the eye. You're not going to touch it, right? I want to hear the word, Winry.
I move close to him, so we're quite face to face. You're an ugly bastard.
You're my twin sister.
I'm not going to touch it.
Alright.
I lean down to Amaris and I say, what the quite
I
friendly,
swear,
aren't they?
there's a reason people don't think we're twins. Is because when I have to deal with you, I age 100 years.
Nah, you've always been a salty old bastard. Don't give me that.
Each of you make a perception check.
16.
24 with a natural 20.
70.
24 with a not natural 20.
Whoa, with a not natural 20.
Well, with a 17 plus
An
7.
unnatural 20.
I
Dirty
see,
20.
I see.
Dirty
Interesting.
20.
All right.
Dirty, darling.
All right. So, as you all continue on and keep an eye trained on Consortia as she continues, a satchel now actually appearing by her side.
Jesus. Right?
All of you actually do see, well, not a familiar figure, at least for many of you. Amaris and Verinar specifically, you don't really know this person. Winry, Calder, you know this person all too well. Your mother is shifting forward through the crowd, flanked by a few of her confidants, wardens of the Anvil Guard. They are actually in what seems to be plate or half plate armor. They seem to be the most prepared out of all of the people here assembled. And indeed, Winry, you notice with a natural 20, she's in a foul mood.
Oh no. We're so grounded.
Yeah. So you hear another status update. Excuse me.
Don't piss her off, Caldor.
117 as your mother continues forward from the crowd, not particularly paying attention to you.
That's fine. I've seen her like this before. I do not need that kind of attention. Not now, not ever.
I'd like you both, Calder and Winry specifically, I'd like you both to roll stealth checks.
Dang it. No!
She's going to catch us edging sideways out of frame, isn't she?
She is.
30-20.
All right. 19.
All right. Okay.
We don't
But,
cooperate well, but we can hide the hell from our parents.
Yes, we can hide like cowards from our parents with the best of them. So, Winry, Calder, remembering what Hamish said, that she had just come off of a very, very, long mission that took a lot out of her, you immediately hunker down and just eyes forward, mouth shut, as she marches across with a couple of these wardens. She does not appear to notice you.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Good to know.
Aye, we're good. All right.
Consortia turns to each of you.
Don't you judge me, lass.
Everything all right?
Right.
Oh yeah, we're totally fine. We're just concentrating on what you've been saying. I
Yep.
say, eyeing my mother behind her.
Yep. Every word, very important. That thing you just said. Yep.
Yep, absolutely, definitely. Yep.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Amaris,
couldn't agree more.
Verinar?
He was as well. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right,
Amaris,
right.
Verinar? Consortia's been silent this whole trip. Not said a damn thing once she scooped the tomes. So, as you continue
I
along,
love you, bro.
Yeah.
Winry, you go into familiar territory with the fires of the forge of the Anvil Guard, not the World Anvil, fully in effect. An oppressive heat washes over each of you as you hear the assemblage of many, many wondrous works, including, but not limited to, swords, the containment rods, a few other sort of things. And you specifically, come to lock eyes with a particular individual, he's not the most. He doesn't seem to be, unfortunately, the most veteran amongst you. Winry, actually taking a moment, you've seen this guy sort of, excuse me, around the office, as it were. Never caught his name, but he's got kind of like a sandy blonde hair, very, very pale skin with green eyes, just sweltering over these control rods, these 3 that have been set before him. Amaris, make an Arcana check.
$21.
Your initial wandering thoughts have now been confirmed. These containment rods must be powered by Manasite, because given the lack of magic within Tairos, at least the lack of magic that has been intoned by Consortia, they need to be powered somehow, and this seems to be the best way. And oh no, you better have enough Manasite on hand. Like, that thought immediately occurs to you. Being familiar kind of academically with the rods themselves, you get the sense that you're going to need a pretty good amount to be able to power these particular things. But as Consortia approaches, she waves. Vasily, marvelous to see you. Vasily kind of looks up with kind of a blacksmith's mask, although the eye holes are a clear instead of the sort of black. And you note as he looks, there seem to be like a couple of eagle feathers that are woven in with his hair. He immediately sort of raises it and blinks a few times. The eagle feathers kind of poof off of his head, and he smirks. Yeah, good to see you. I got your requisition order. Luckily, modifications are going much smoother than I thought they would. The calamity seems to be pliant at this point. Kind of surprising, given you hear another rumbling as presumably another shard passes by. Present circumstances? Immediately you hear an enormous crash somewhere beneath Hestevar as it floats on clouds. Well, at least that one will be easy to get. He kind of gulps, and as he gulps, he kind of stills himself. The eagle feathers fall from his head and into the fires with a little bit of a spark. I suppose this is your crew? He kind of looks to each of you. All hands on deck, huh? It's just this sort of resigned, oh, yeah.
Amaris just sort of quietly sighs.
There's kind of like a moment of half recognition, and Vasily kind of like raises a finger to Winry. Winry-Ann. Oh, hi. Wish you were here. Guess you're on secret duty, huh?
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm really excited. I'm pretty glad that I'm not just, making pointy things again. It's Vasily, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely okay with making lots of pointy things. What bead of sweat there was on Belladonna, there is like a torrent that comes from this guy's forehead. Like, it's not that he's not capable, it's that this is a level of stress that he has not been exposed to. And so he kind of awkwardly clears his throat. I suppose you'll be wanting the requisite dungeoneering packs. And slams them on the table. They're about like 50 pounds each, but he seems to, even with his slight form, be able to pick them up and slam them on the table rather succinctly, pushing them to each of you. So on your character sheets, you can mark a dungeoneering pack along with probably about 500 feet or 100 feet of climbing rope per person. All this sort of treats and whatnot. He kind of snaps his fingers. MREs, of course. And you actually see pushed forward what look to be like discs or runic discs. He then stops and says, "Oh, wait a minute, Tairos. Requisition said that they would need mana sight in order to operate not only magical items but spells, and unfortunately, Consortia nods. Right, so I hope you guys get out there before 3 days." He plugs through the food. The food discs, the MREs, the meals ready to enchant. So, with that, he also looks to Amaris, who seems to be the most knowledgeable amidst all of you, especially as you look along the control rods. Yes. He gathers them up and shoves them into a quiver that is much smaller than what they are, but they seem to collapse in just fine, really. And he stops. Man aside, that's... He kind of stops for a moment. I need you all to roll an insight check.
Synthetic 20.
23.
Big 11.
Sorry.
Noah?
Yes, 22.
22, okay. Everybody who rolled above a 10, which is everybody, you get the sense that this guy was really banking on magic being simple in this world, and that these magical items wouldn't need to be powered or otherwise accounted for. And he's kind of done the thing where he just assumes it to be normal and gone with the solution that he's like accustomed to. Winry, you specifically have noted this with Vasily's kind of work. It's been brain dead, like really, really simple stuff, like not exactly the most complicated. But as you see this sort of sheepish look wash over him at the fact that you will need so much mana sight to power literally all of the magical items that he's providing, you hear a boisterous noise behind him. Vasily, you overcomplicate things as usual. You sort of hear a gruff, husky voice emerge as a halfling steps upon a stepping stool that he slams down. Glorious beard sort of growing to his chest. Gray as all hell. Like, this is a very, very veteran of the Forge. Winry, I need you specifically to roll a history check.
History check. History 4. 4.
I'm imagining tiny, angry Santa Claus.
Yeah, pretty much.
Very nice beard. Looks like it might
really?
catch on fire a bit. But
What'd you roll?
I rolled 4.
Oh, a 4.
Great beard. Great
who's
freaking beard. That beard is great. It looks
Tip your
historical.
tongue. You know, Vasily, how many times do I have to tell you? Overthinking does not exactly lead to good results. You've given them all of this for a world that we know has little to no magic. Yes? He kind of sheepishly like, well, I had maybe reasonably assumed. Do not assume. Never assume. Well, perhaps assume. I don't know. He kind of stops and takes a deep breath. Apologies, friends and associates. He pulls out the rods themselves, which are inert, and hands them over to Calder, because they are now sort of in their solid, like 6-foot form. You could use them as a cane, like it's yeah. But he gives you 3. They're of a reasonable heft. Like you can probably carry these somehow. My apologies, my apologies, my apologies. But unfortunately, you'll most likely be, shall we say, roughing it from here on out. Many of the, items and luxuries that would usually be provided, they'll be biscuits. He kind of shrugs. Anybody understand Gnomish? Or, excuse me, Halfling.
Halfling.
You do understand Halfling. Wonderful. Pizjits is basically shit. It's like everything that could be maybe like for convenience or otherwise be handed to you. Yeah, you're not gonna get that. Don't tell me that you gave them the MREs and sort of expected them to use the Manasite. Vasily kind of again blushes scarlet. Wow, okay. I'll be needing those back. He sort of casts out a hand and begs for the discs to be returned. Do not worry, you will be provided with something better. And he immediately begins to, write down another requisition to another part of the forge where food forgers or cooks are. We'll send them on to
tiny hammers.
Maybe. Who knows? Do not worry. We'll get them to the Realm Walker before anything happens. But you need to have Manasite, as I have been told. He draws this sort of small chest from his back and immediately lands it on the table in front of you. He snaps his fingers and it immediately expands to about, what are dimensions anymore? About 5 foot by 4 foot by about 3 foot tall chest. He immediately goes in, and you note there are several precious gems and whatnot that are contained within this chest. Mutters to himself. There it is. He almost sort of like ass over tea kettle goes like into the chest itself. Vasily quickly snatches onto his legs and sort of holds him in place as the halfling goes forward. Marvelous. It's hard to describe. It's a glass case with what look to be emeralds inside, but the emeralds have some sort of faint glow about them. I need everybody who's interested to roll an Arcana check.
You cannot roll Arcana untrained often, but that is a house rule often.
Yes.
How do you play this?
I play this as I roll Arcana. You go for it.
26.
Rolled a
When in
20.
doubt, roll Arcana.
19.
19.
Ooh,
So,
you can name all the sparkles.
all right. So 26 from Calder. Verinar, what was it again?
8.
8. Ooh, Verinar, this is a very interesting rock. This is apparently Manasite. Whatever
Is
that
it
means.
magic?
It seems to be magic.
I can detect magic at will. Is it magic?
Oh yeah, no, definitely magic. Very, very magic. And actually, as you sort of detect magic, you sort of look into it, and as you sort of cast out the words, it's kind of like sonar. You cast it out to sort of see if anything comes back in sort of a sensory thing. You know when you bite into like A raw pepper, like a habanero or whatnot, and like there's an immediate burning sensation in your sinuses. That's kind of what comes back to you as you detect
much
magic on
magic.
this thing. So, like literally, this is just raw magic in a crystal. Calder, the processes by which magic can be harnessed are numerous and plenty. Usually, they are only through runes and the like. This is something different. This is literally mana or magic taken from the planet of Tairos and distilled in a crystalline form. By all accounts, this should be impossible because you have not, even in your vast experience and sort of knowing your, even knowing your father, adherent of the Forgers, you have not come across a means to actually do this.
Calder is at this moment having a somewhat of a slight existential crisis because in his head, he views Manasite as the raw magic of the world, which has been pulled from the planet itself. The fact of the matter is that not only has it been pulled from the planet, but it's currently in our world and not their world, might have something to do with the fact that there is very little magic there. The fact that the magic is literally crystallized, taken from the planet, and easily shipped places. Calder sits there and goes, well, clearly this is someone's fault. But screw it. Again, as the seeker has said, that is above our pay grade, and we are not to interfere. I will say, do we need gloves or anything, or is it good for us to use?
As far as I understand, of course, I am not the Lord Master, so that would be more for. And you see, excuse me, you see Consortia kind of pipe up at this point. Manasite in this form, how can I explain it? It is stable.
I grab it.
And
Mm-hmm.
very reliable in terms of
Wink,
its effects.
wink.
It, as Calder, you unclick and draw out one of these crystals. As you try to attempt to bite it, I need you
I
to...
smack him on the back of the head.
I
What?
need you to...
What are you doing, you loon? Don't just put things in your mouth.
But how else will I know how it tastes?
Calder,
Yay.
wisdom saving throw for me, please.
Oh, no.
Amaris, you get the same sense as Caldor that this is an incredibly potent magic that should not be trifled with in so flagrant a manner. Caldor?
20, not natural.
Mm,
Dirty 20.
wow,
So much
okay.
ill.
Especially within the sort of, excuse me, especially within, okay, how can I explain it? Yeah, no, that's the best way. You know how people don't usually like stick their hands in cans of gasoline?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've gone and done that and like pulled out a little bit. And like it's that same sort of feeling of, oh wow, I should probably really let this go or get this off of my person as soon as possible because this is dangerous. And as you sort of look at it, it sort of gives a gentle vibration that travels through your forearm, up your elbow, and whatnot, through your shoulder, and sort of at the base of your skull begins to kind of like vibrate.
Is anything happening to the runes on my arms?
Yeah, they're actually a light at this point.
Oh.
Involuntarily.
Oh, that's new. Alright, well, I'm just gonna stick this in a bag. Yeah. And I'll put it in my little knapsack.
You know, I was worried that this would happen as soon as you got a hold of it. Don't worry. It was only one, so far as you don't consume more than probably that amount, you'll be perfectly fine.
Whoa. Consume?
You're supposed
What are
to
we
eat
doing
it.
with this rock exactly?
No eating. No, please. This is only to power things. Think of it as battery.
I was going to say, I'd need a lot of mayonnaise to eat a rock.
Batteries are canon. We have batteries now.
Yes, you have. Yes, batteries are canon. You live in the multiverse. If you don't know what gasoline and batteries are, we're going to be here forever. So.
What are these two little A's that are written on it?
Certificate of authentication. But just to give him a name, Grigori actually starts to explain basically how this is going to go down. So, you have been given, as a collective, a 3-day supply of manasite. Now, that means that each of you can take 3 long rests within Tairos and be able to, by virtue of, drawing power from the manasite, refill any lost spell slots. But you can only do this 3 times. So, if you do just to make it simple, if you do a short rest, that means you can fill up, but it'll consume half a day. If you do a long rest, it'll consume a full day. And you need at least 1 day's worth of manasite to power the control rods. So each of you...
Is that 1 day each? Or
no,
one
just 1 day.
Portion?
Yeah, 1 day's... 1 day... 1 person's portion of manasite. So technically, with everybody assembled, you will have 15 altogether. But for now, each of you is given 3. Just from this particular box. And just as a note, what it'll be is the portions have to be on your person in order to cast spells, and you'll see how that works when we get to Tairos. But in order to recharge spell slots, you have to consume a portion. Yeah. This is like no, not consume like that. No. Consortia at this point sort of chimes in and says, basically, if you meditate with it and draw upon its power, usually those, at least within those who have multiversal experience, can easily sort of integrate the manasite and draw from its power. The manasite will crumble into dust afterwards, but yeah.
Do not snort the dust after it's crumbled. Don't do
No, because it's basically just shards of glass.
Why would you snort dust anyway? That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's very unhygienic.
Listen, after
Oh, you
watching
don't
that,
know.
I have to ask. You don't.
We
Who
just
wants a
have to-
dusty nose?
I mean, you test gold
I mean, you
coins
go to
by
the farm to
biting
get a
on it.
dusty nose every day. It's not fun.
Had to go there again, didn't he?
Sorry, Caldor, what were you saying?
Look, I was just saying that if you test gold, you have to bite in it to find out, if it's pure or not. I mean, how are we supposed to know you can't do the same thing? Unless you try.
A human man slinging along basically what seems to be a rucksack, marches through the forge. The fires and heat kind of getting to him. He kind of requisition order for Tairos.
Yeah, that's us.
Food for 3 days. Hope you like hardtack and non-perishables. Kind of smiles wryly.
Oh, yes, it's great.
Oh yeah, my favorite, just like Mother used to make.
To be fair, Mother did used to make.
She did used to make it.
As each of you say this, the cook kind of looks to you. Oh, Anvilgard.
Do not tell her that we said that.
We did not say that at all.
Wait, no. I think there's like a weird echo in here. I don't say anything about that. No.
Anvilgard, we're not Anvilgard. I mean, come on. I mean, we're all Anvilgard, right?
Right, exactly.
No,
we should
The family, not the Varinar, Amaris immediately roll history checks.
Not natural 20.
7.
Ooh. Amaris, you've heard the name Anvilgard. And the chef just said it, so I mean, yeah, that's that. Varinar, it took you a moment to kind of like click it in your head. There's been a lot that's happened in the past like couple hours, or past hour probably. Yeah. Now you recognize that you are in the presence of not royalty within the Anvil Guard, but definitely persons of eminent interest, considering that the adherent of the Forge is Hamish Anvilgard. That's Gaard, not Guard. And their mother is one of the most celebrated wardens ever to come to recent memory. And you know this only because about a month or so back you attended a lecture that she gave concerning multiplanar travel to the Fellows of Ayun.
Oh, really? Parents are very well to do, aren't they?
Silence pervades for a time.
Oh, I actually can barely hear Eric. Sorry.
Oh, he said parents are very well to do, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're all right. I mean, don't track mud into the house, and you'll be fine. I mean, well, I say that.
No,
My
very
mum's
important
like,
stuff. Yeah, no, absolutely. About the end of the world.
Immediately from the
Can
back.
we have one conversation that doesn't devolve into us talking about mom and dad? All right. We've got this job. It's ours. All right. Mom's not here. Dad's not here. And mom's cooking. All right. Fine. Sure. She made hardtack for us, but that was because we were shite kids. So there you go. Now.
yeah. To be fair, we were, and we've got really strong teeth now, so that's good.
Hey.
So
which is why
yeah.
I tried to bite the Malachite. So anyway, look. Are we good to go now, lad? I say to the halfling requisitioner.
Grigori.
Grigori.
Yeah, Grigori kind of blinks a few times. I mean, I've fully requisitioned all of this. If, of course, you do realize, if anything, you happen to have, not used, return to us so that we might make sure.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. We'll do that thing you're talking about. Varna, come on, lad. Let's get right into the muck of it. The portal's this way, right? Lore keeper. This way, that way.
Consortia nods and waves to each of you. The cook is kind of awestruck by Winrian and Kaldor, but Amaris, you have no idea why. Varinar, you understand why.
We'll see you later. Thanks for the food. Don't worry, you completely misunderstood who we were. Don't recognize us at all.
No, it's not us. It's definitely somebody else. Yeah, let's go. Come on. I put my arm around Amaris and kind of walk her forwards.
I still have a few things to collect.
No, you don't. You're fine.
It's
Come
fine.
on.
Let's go.
I'll buy you one at the gift shop.
I am in robes. I have like a pocketbook.
I'm kind of half imagining Varana in like a scholar's version of pajamas.
Yes.
Like
the minute you said I'm wearing a, I was like unicorn onesie. Say unicorn onesie.
So
they're just vestments. I was pulled out of like the archives in the middle of all this, and I am not ready for travel.
I will say that you have been given somewhat of a supplemental sort of thing of cloth armor and the like things that the strongest thing that you could wear.
I have equipment. I just need to return to my boat and collect them. If we can, honestly, just wait 10 minutes.
To simplify things greatly, we'll say that the requisition officer provided you equipment equivalent to what you possessed. And who knows? Maybe the cloth armor comes in the form of a onesie.
Oh, don't you strike a striking figure?
Like the Orn. Very horny.
we'll say Vasily was very attentive to your needs, Verinar, as someone who's obviously kind of outside of the whole situation as it stands. But you do have equipment equivalent to what you would have had had you, gone and returned your things.
Even my very particular things, I'm very upset.
You're very
I'm not
upset.
happy that I don't have I have special items that I take when I go out and about on those very rare occasions, and I'm very upset that I don't have them right now.
Oh no. I just imagine there's like a particular jar of dirt that you need. Like,
No, I don't have like my mask and my goggles or my favorite rapier and all this stuff.
Well, Calder, can Calder kind of see that Varanar's mind is sort of on these things, like as we're traveling, and he's got all the stuff, and it's kind of like we're going to the airport and he's left his bags behind, that kind of vibe.
This is exactly
Yeah.
what's happened.
Yeah.
that's the sort of vibe. I would
All right,
The
assume.
taxi
so
showed
Cal-
up and told me to get in it.
Yeah. So Calder will look over to Varinar and say, Varinar, I know we haven't known each other for very long, but you look like you've got some stuff on your mind. What's going on?
Well, he looks like he's got ants in his pants, is what he looks like. You're right, man.
Well, look, they're fresh pants. He's got no ants, so I mean, he's fine. But
I checked.
yeah.
How do you know he's not got ants
no
in his pants? Maybe he got pants in his ants.
He's wearing
What?
robes. Does he have pants?
I mean, yes, they're very nice vestments. There's robes under.
I'm
pants
British.
underneath the
I
robe.
hope he's wearing pants. Well, this is a very different kind of game.
Yeah,
Oh,
both
right.
kinds of pants.
Both kinds, all pants.
Going
Anyway.
commando, guys. This is why I wanted to go home.
Verinar,
Good reason to go.
respond.
Sorry.
Come
Well,
back, come back.
On the off occasion that I do go out and about, I have a few very particular items I like to take with me. I have very sensitive skin. You see, most worlds, the sources of light, they have suns and stars and that such matter. Very damaging to me, so I like to cover myself in comfortable ways that I found. And most of my fineries and effects are back at my house, as well as my favorite weapon of choice. And, well, I suppose if time is of the essence, let's just go.
Oh, well, being a member of the Anvil Guard affords a few, small little luxuries. We don't usually like to deal on them because, well, it's a pretty much a direct line to Ma and Pa to tell you that, you're doing wrong. I'll look around and see if I can find a courier. A courier, like a person.
Oh, a courier! I was like,
Come on now.
Wait a minute. Wait,
Give us
what?
a break.
No, what is that?
Okay?
What is that?
I'm an Aussie dude trying to do a Scottish
The
accent.
Scottish accent.
Give me a-
Yeah,
Cut me
At
some
4 in the
slack.
morning.
I know. At 4 in the morning. I got you. I was just like, wait a minute. What's that word again? Courier. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Indeed, there is. I'll say that there is a particular seeker who Amaris you do recognize, and
Yep.
Calder you see is headed out like at a very brisk pace.
No, I meant like a regular like messenger person, not one of the interdimensional
Like a
traveler
running
hopper.
boy, not
Like
like,
a running, like a running lad.
Let me take a look. Just trying to remember.
That was very colonial, didn't it? Do we have a running boy?
Yes,
Sorry.
catch the running lad. Bring him forthwith.
Bring to me the running boy and the honey.
Chop
No,
chop. Okay, so yeah. Excuse me. When it comes to messengers and the like, usually there is some sort of like core group. Yes, I remember. A Pelorian Fleetfoot. Amaris, you encountered one in the first session. You actually do note that there are a few that are kind of darting in and out and around this particular space, especially the main hub that oh gosh, I've said her name so much. Consortia is dragging you along, but there is indeed a Pelorian Fleetfoot. Actually, do I want to? Yeah, Amaris, it's the same one that delivered you your initial message in the first session.
All right, I'm gonna pull this individual aside and say, sir, can I have your attention real quick?
Anything for the Anvil God, yes.
Ah, fantastic, good. You see this fine gentleman here?
Hmm.
He has some personal effects he needs retrieved immediately. Our mission is literally pending on these very important items. There is nothing of a higher priority right now than to acquire these very specific items from this very specific place. You must tell me right now, you must be the fastest man here. Yeah?
No, I mean, I can try my best.
Good. Excellent. I point at Verana.
Varinar.
Verana.
Varinar.
No.
You've known each
Okay,
other
in my
for 2
defense,
hours.
in my head, every time I hear Varinar, I keep hearing Vinaran, which is like a monkey creature from Pathfinder. So
Oh, no.
it's in my head. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Varinar. I point to Varinar.
Yes. And immediately the halfling sort of looks to you, wide-eyed and like obviously stressed.
I explain what to grab and where it is and where the house is.
Is the house locked?
Well, we left in a hurry. Do I have? I assume I have keys. I gave him the keys if I have keys to the place where.
He takes the keys. It's like, make a persuasion check.
11.
Okay. Yeah, right away. Where will you be?
Yeah, right. Well, no.
I'll
Wait
mention
here.
the platforms where we're going to be leaving
Yeah,
from.
the portal. Yeah.
Oh yes, the
All
big
right.
glowy circle over there. Yes, right outside that.
And you know there is like a particular like raised platform where there are a lot of these circles that are kind of going in around a coliseum almost. Right.
And
Excuse me,
before you go,
please.
where are my manners, of course? Amaris, did you want anything? Did you need anything?
Good to go. Thank you.
Good to go. All right.
All
right.
You
get some
see
coffee
him
on the way?
stop.
All right, you're good. You're good. Go. Run like the wind. Bullseye.
Go, go, go!
And
So, right,
immediately
I've
takes
got
off.
a favourite hammer. I know what it's like.
Oh, you don't need it.
Consortia
So
kind of
mean.
taps her foot and looks to each of you. I do so hope that doesn't mean we'll be detained for an inordinately long time.
No, he looked fast, didn't he?
Likewise.
Look at him go.
Fast little bugger.
So, as you continue along to the actual Realm Walker's quarters, again, this sort of coliseum of great portals swirls around, and excuse me, Consortia goes to what seems to be a sort of like barrel-chested tiefling man who's attending one of the portals, reading from a book and sort of in these various tongues, making sure that each rune is aligned properly and that indeed it being an actual coliseum, there is no wall behind this portal, and so he's actually looking into the sky and seems to be referencing a particular point, and sort of making his way through the book as best as possible. So, as Consortia approaches, she begins to speak in Infernal. Anybody speak Infernal?
No.
Let's just hope you encounter no demons or devils. And they seem to have a sort of hushed conversation. Consortia comes back. Looking for you, it will be about 15 minutes before... Pardon. Before Virtue is able to align everything. I don't envy you. I have to say that. I
Not
suppose.
great at pep talks, are we?
Not my field. I've seen many seekers go out. Some come back.
You got any last minute advice?
Well, Virtue. And she sort of begins speaking in Infernal again. Virtue again responds.
Wow. Yeah, that's that name. Yeah.
So it is the bitter depths. As I said, only 120 feet. Shouldn't be that perilous of an adventure. Again, mainly environmental threats. Nothing too out of the ordinary, I suppose. But I would...
Well, you know, it's our first time, right? So everything's going to be out of the ordinary for us.
A fair
No,
point.
no, not to freak you out or anything, but
All hands on deck. But I suppose I shouldn't worry for a couple of the Anvilgard family, or indeed someone so well read and spoken. She kind of looks to Verinar. Verinar, you feel a tug at your rope. It's been about like 7 minutes, and the halfling has retrieved your items, and actually your keys.
Ah, thank you very much.
Mm.
Well, good day.
Mm.
Oh,
He kind of like looks.
I tip him like a gold piece.
He kind
Do
of.
we have money?
I'll say you got like 10 gold pieces.
Cool.
But as he kind of goes along, there is a long night ahead, as you hear 505 being yelled throughout.
you're amazing. Keep your chin up.
I begin like hastily, just right here. I kind of like look around. Is there like any kind of like alcove or whatever?
Right
Or
on
is
the
this just
opposite side of the portal that Virtue is constructing.
And that looks like we're not supposed to go over there, right?
I mean, you can sort of go over there. It's like a little alcove, like it's right behind a column. It doesn't really.
Nah. So I just take off the main robe and I start like hastily. I still have like clothes on. It's just not like the big flowy robe, and I start hastily putting on my boots and scale mail and long travel cloak, and I pull on gloves with these very very ornate sigils carved into the back of the hands, and then I pull up like this black face mask and these purple tinted goggles, and they just kind of hang around my neck. And I have a very, very ornate, nice rapier at my side, and I say, all right, thank you so much. Good to go. Ready for a certain death, all that.
That's the spirit. All right,
She did say 15 minutes, though.
Immediately.
I mean, I'm glad we're all so excited, but she said 15 minutes till the call, so I mean, yeah.
As you are, Verinar, as you are sort of like standing there next to the portal, it immediately erupts into life. A sort of purplish blue kind of circular swirl erupts and is contained within this this space. Virtue speaks in Infernal. Consortia confirms. The plane of Tairos is ready for you to explore. Although, again, you're 4 out of 5. Don't know where your 5th is, but you assume they're nearby. Oh,
Right.
I'm muted. Sorry.
Yes.
I was just saying I'm pretty sure that she's crazy and they don't exist, but that's cool.
Make another perception check, please. Or actually, tell me your passive perception.
That would be 10.
10. Okay. Yeah, no, with that, even with that. You do note next to Amaris there is a hooded figure. Lithe female form that is just standing next to Amaris. Amaris, you've noticed them as soon as they came onto the scene.
Heavy breathing.
Leora seems ready for battle. So sorry we couldn't have you, Lynn, but I wanted to make sure that your character was here.
Well, off and away then.
Right.
Let's do this.
Yeah!
For Aristil.
one hand
Yes,
on
that one.
her holster at her hip for a moment, and she just quietly says something under her breath. And then
All right. Amaris, roll a wisdom check just real quick.
I
As
was
each of you
wondering if
goes
you'd
into
have
the
me do
portal.
that.
Oh, of course I would. Each of you rolls through the portal.
$13.
Let's go get him. You hear whispered as you jump through the portal. It is a torrent unlike any other. Energy washes over each of you, the pure calamity of the plains being directed around you, traipsing you through the fabric of time, space, and reality. It rockets into a portal, and then utter darkness remains. Until such time as you note the fauna that is now alight and alive. The flora as well, bioluminescent, as it crawls along the cavernous floors that rest beneath you. You are deposited, none too softly, in a clearing. And there is something very, very wrong. Sparks, lightning strikes almost, seem to be suspended between the cavernous places. And though you cannot see in the distance, there is a strangeness that pervades the land. Far more than 120 feet. Oh, and everybody make a wisdom check for me?
Is that a check or a saving throw?
Check.
18.
Also
15.
And Winrianne?
Yeah, sorry.
All good.
24. Natural 20.
Last thing before we go. There is a degree of separation, unlike any you have ever felt. It's hard to put into words. It's hard to feel. It's alien, strange. Yet Winrianne, it is true. Tairos is devoid, depleted of magic. And suddenly, the manasite on your person is basically barely keeping the lights on for your spells. Indeed, for all of you. Best to be careful. Welcome to Tairos. And welcome to the end of our stream. Our second set.
Woo! Woo! Heroic ending!
Yes.
That was amazing!
All right. I am so happy to have had this experience again. So sorry to Lynn for unfortunately missing out on this second session, but we will have you back as soon as possible, we swear, for this wonderful campaign of Shattered Forge, as we have finally made it to Tairos, the world of the Chosen One. And just all around a very wonderful world that I've been inhabiting for a while and that I can't wait to show you. As it stands, my name is Jason Catrone. I am at JustJasonPlease on Twitter. You can find a pinned tweet that describes everywhere that I'm going to be at any point in time. This is my final game for the week, but next week I'm going to be rolling along with some wonderful people on some wonderful channels. Follow me there if you want to find out where at any point in time. I hand it off first and foremost to our lovely sponsor, half of the World Anvil team. Well, at least the public face of the World Anvil team, Janet. So
I don't
good
know
to
about
well, yeah, very true. At any rate, such a pleasure to be here with you. Such a pleasure to have you on board. Please, red carpet is rolled for you. Go ahead and tell us who you are, where we can find you, and yeah, what you thought of today's session.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. So it started off a little bit slowly. There was a little bit of scene setting, but once we got into the action, I was just like, yes, this is the stuff. And Winry Ann is very much a character of action, so she was incredibly excited as well. So yeah, if you want to find me and know a little bit more about what I do, you can find me at World Anvil. World Anvil, of course, is the ultimate world building platform for gamers, writers, game design studios. We have comic book artists. We have anyone who's created a world setting using World Anvil to keep track of that, show off the public bits, and keep the private bits private, and of course connect everything together. If you want to check out the world of Tairos, the world we have just landed in, you can go to worldanvil.com/Tairos. Chris Dravis is an amazing world builder, as well as being the director of Ironrise Games. He is a phenomenal creator, and his world is not only physically beautiful to look at, his art is amazing, but he's got great writing as well. Definitely, if you are curious about where we're going next, you can go read about that on World Anvil and maybe create your own account and start building your own worlds. It is free to get started, so yeah, check it out.
And again, for probably about the price of heavily discounted Xbox 360 game a month, you can
$3 a month. It is it's $3 a month for a guild subscription. It is.
It is, yeah. It is fantastically, well worth your time and your support. So, again, thanks to World Anvil as our sponsors more generally, but we pass it along to Michael. Hello. So good to have you here. Who are you? Where can we find you? And what did you think of tonight's session?
Resonating, of course, with my twin sister. I felt like, start a little bit on the slow side, but I think Calder had a few very, very good interactions today, especially with some of the NPCs and, of course, with his fellow teammates. I can't wait to get to know them a little bit more in like kind of a life or death situation, which will hopefully not happen, I guess, or will happen, I guess. I mean, depends on your point of view. As for me, I am Michael. I am the Dead Aussie Gamer. I am a professional game master and role player. You can find me pretty much everywhere, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on all the things. And if you want to check me out in person to see some of the other shows, you can watch me on D&D Twitch on the Descent into Avernus, The Blood War, along with the lovely Janet, who the both of us play on that as well. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
I always forget we do things.
We do things. We're friends. We're
running around the internet doing things.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah.
We do.
What a surprise. What a surprise. We also are so thankful for having Eric aboard as Verinar. Go ahead, tell the people what you're doing, how you're doing, roll out the red carpet for yourself, where we can find you, etc., etc.
Well, I'm at Eric Peterson VO on Twitter. You can find me, see what I'm up to, just a few errant posts, me and my vague attempts at humor, that sort of thing. Always fun. Today was a lot of fun. It's starting to get into the thick of it. Can't wait to see how Verinar tries not to die. Yeah, it's going to be goal number 1 for a while. He figures out this whole adventuring thing. But yeah, it'll be nice to see how he interacts with all of his new friends, especially Balder. He's got to figure out
Balder. Yeah.
Balder, Solder. It's something like
Dang
that.
it! I've started something now.
All right. And so we come to the final of those present. Autumn, so happy to have you here again. All that good stuff that I mentioned before. Red carpet's out for you.
I'm Autumn Blaze, also Lasalanta Nariel, Lasalanta Blaze on Twitter, and you can find all the stuff I do there, art, writing, kinds of streams that I've agreed to so many of, and now it's just so much, but it's great and I love it. And I had a great time. I'm glad my character finally got to meet people because she's kind of a loner and just walked right past all of you in the first one. So that's great. And I'm looking forward to it. And if you want to see more of me, I don't know why, but if you do, I'm back on this channel in a few hours.
Yeah, well, it'll be there. You'll see us. At the moment, however, we say thank you so much, everybody, for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, catch us live Fridays, 2 p.m. CST, 3 p.m. EST, and all those other lovely time zones. But for now, we thank you so much for tuning in. Hearts out to everybody. Keep warm, and yeah, have some fun. Adios.